And we're really happy to be here, dear viewers, especially in this special interview, talking about research and all of the updates. We know that research are really important to present lots of information to all of the updates in the fields that are happening in the world. When you're talking about medicine field, it is always up to date, hectic, and there's always new information. Therefore, in today's interview, we're going to know more about the workshop that dealt with medical research. Starting to present our guest in today's episode, we would like to welcome with us Dr. Hend Alqaderi, and also with her Dr. Khalid Tabtabai and Dr. Dania Bahdela. Really happy to have you all here.
Thank you for having us.
So, of course, Dr. Hend, we'll start with you talking about the idea of this workshop.
Okay, so first, thank you for having us, and we're happy today that we are here in this building, the Kuwait Foundation of Advancement of Science, who supported or sponsored this workshop. So the idea came from actually 14, let me tell the story. Yeah. So 14 dentists approached me on social media, and they asked me if they can learn research from me. So they asked me if I have any ongoing research project, they want to learn about research, and they want me to mentor them. So usually I receive these kind of messages sometime between time to time, and most of the time I involve them in one of my ongoing research. But when I found out that this time I have 14 dentists who want to join one of my or some of my ongoing research, it was very difficult to do that. So I had a meeting with the General Director of the Foundation of KFAS, and I told him about the idea of conducting a research workshop for dentists who are interested in learning research, and he liked the idea so much, and he told me, why don't we include also medical doctors? And quickly he called the director of the research department, and they put together a program. And we started to approach the medical board, Kuwaiti board, and we nominated some outstanding doctors who also were interested about research. And we put together this program that we are here today, and we are proud to be able to conduct the first medical and dental research workshop in Kuwait. It was an intensive workshop that lasts only for 5 days. We were able to teach and train doctors and dentists for a lot of skills, very advanced skills, how to conduct research, how to conduct statistical analysis, how to draft paper for publication, and we were very proud to see the dentists and doctors that within only a week they were able to do all of these and learn about all of these skills.
That's really great to hear about that, and especially that you mentioned it started with the dentist field itself and then it moved on to include different, of course, fields in the medical field itself. So talking with you, Dr. Khalid, especially we want to know more about you and how did you manage to join in the START workshop?
I'm Dr. Khalid Tabtabai. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Alberta in Canada. I got involved in this workshop when Dr. Alqaderi, she contacted me. We have a research project actually that we work on together about COVID, where it's actually a pretty big project that we're working on in terms of COVID and the oral cavity. And she knew that I was going to be in Kuwait for, during the Christmas break, and she asked me whether I would be interested in being a mentor in this workshop. And at first I wasn't really sure whether that was going to be possible or not. It seems very monumental project that we would do an entire research project within a week, analyzing it as well as writing it up. Then when I sat down with her and she went over the logistics of it, I was like, you know what? It might be challenging, but this is a good challenge for us to take a look at it. Especially when we looked at the number of people who were interested in it, we thought that let's give it a try. And I think we were very successful with the results. We had very good feedback from our judges, and we had excellent feedback from the mentees themselves as well. So I think we did a good job.
So I'm Dr. Dania Bahdela. I'm an assistant professor and consultant in pediatric dentistry. I knew Dr. Hend Alqaderi since 2018 as one of her doctorate students in Harvard School of Dental Medicine. So I worked with Dr. Hend. I know her style of work. I know that we get things done together. So she contacted me after I graduated in 2022. And she told me that there is this opportunity of having a research workshop for Kuwaiti dentists and doctors. I was really excited because I've never been to Kuwait, and I'm excited about the other thing, that I'm passionate about research and education. I said, yes, let's go and do it. And we did it happily.
And of course, we're really glad to have you here in Kuwait. And of course, we welcome you here as, let's say, a second home for you. And talking about finding the members and connecting everyone together is very challenging, because though, let's say, you have a good connection with each and everyone, they have to have that great connection with the other, let's say, members who are working in this workshop. So tell us about this kind of, let's say, challenges. Like, did you think about it? Like, have you ever thought of, let's say, having such, let's say, maybe, let's say, an idea or discussion about it?
Yes, this is a good question, because I've worked with many teams, multiple teamwork projects, and I know that sometimes even one member can exhaust the entire team if you don't choose the team members well. But fortunately, this team is amazing. Like, we have a great chemistry, all of us. We enjoyed the work. We were so passionate about the work, and everything was positive. We wake up, we are waiting to come and meet together, not only during the workshop, we also meet every day in the evening. We had some activities. We took our team to places like Mbarkiya, we went to the farm, and actually we're sad that now we will spread out to different places, but I'm sure we can do this in the future.
Yes, and hopefully everyone, as you just highlighted, going to do it in the future, and it will make more, let's say, of an annual gathering when it comes into, let's say, getting all connected together and also presenting the workshop itself. About you, Dr. Khalid, especially when it comes into working in the team itself, let's say, knowing everyone and trying to, let's say, create that great environment. Tell us about your experience in the field.
To be honest with you, I want to give credit where credit to the actual mentees themselves. I feel like if the idea itself of finishing a giant project within a week wasn't that monumental of a task, people wouldn't be as motivated as they are. It felt like everybody was ready to take on that challenge, and not only that, everybody really excelled on it. I think everybody shares that, within the conversations we've had, everybody shares that thought that actually not only they're motivated, but we have really, really well-trained people. They're, the logical assumptions and the questions they were asking were actually challenging me at some points, and I felt like at one point I'm like, well, I'm not sure who's the mentor and who's the mentee in here, right? Yes. So I think that was a very, very, very good intellectual exercise for us as well.
Indeed, and especially that, Dr. Dania, we've seen so many, let's say, doctors in their profession and their position. Most of them, let's say, are really scared of that point that you just highlighted, which is asking a question, or let's say not having an answer for a certain question. Because in the end, this is a kind of, let's say, a field that everyone feels like if I don't have an answer for a certain, let's say, topic, that means that I'm not really good enough in my position. Tell us about that, let's say, how to encourage doctors to ask questions, especially when it comes into finding such medical, let's say, workshops.
It's a really important question because it starts from education. I don't know if the other noticed, but I always tell my students, please make mistakes. Please ask, and when in doubt, ask. Asking for help is one of the most courageous things that you can do. So just be vulnerable, open. Tell other people that you don't know this, please teach me. We learn science from people, not only from textbooks. So in a professional level, the mentees were great. They were collaborating, asking so many questions that really stimulated our thought process. And on a personal level, they were just amazing.
Yes, and it's really amazing to hear that feedback from you. Of course, we're really delighted to have both of you, Dr. Khalid and Dr. Dania. We're going to continue, of course, with you, Dr. Hend, and with the other members in the workshop, the viewers, but after the break, so stay tuned with us. And we're back, dear viewers, to re-welcome with us our guest, Dr. Hend Alqaderi, and of course, welcome with us our new members in the group itself of the Medical Research Workshop. With us, we'd like to welcome Dr. Hisham Al-Hazmi and also Dr. Lauren Gritzel. Really happy to have both of you. Starting with you, Dr. Hisham, tell us more about you in general, and especially how did you actually join this workshop?
Thank you for the invitation. My name is Hisham Al-Hazmi. I'm a lecturer at Harvard, and I know Dr. Hend from Harvard. We worked on several projects, and Dr. Hend, she contacted me like 2 months ago, telling me that I have this idea where we want to conduct a study with different groups of doctors and dentists at Kuwait within 1 week. I thought at the start, like Dr. Khalid said, this is like it's a difficult, a difficult task to do, but when we went through the process and when we saw the engage of the students and how the students or the doctors were interested in the project, this made our work easy. We could formulate questions with them, write the hypothesis, the aim of the project, taking them through the process of how to write the paper and doing the statistical analysis. And we and them both enjoyed the writing a paper.
It's really amazing to see all of these members, Dr. Hend, all combined together and working in the same process itself, which is trying to simplify this kind of workshop and presenting medical research in a more easy way, because everyone is really terrified in presenting these topics, especially in creating, let's say, their thesis and trying to prove them and so on. Tell us about that, the challenges when it comes into working in such a project, and is it really not that difficult, because lots of people are really terrified of holding a paper and trying to, let's say, organize their ideas?
Yes, so for me, from my experience, I believe that the most important element for learning research is having a good mentor. So I thought that even though we had to go through a long process of learning and attending classes, we all graduated from Harvard, we attended several classes to be able to conduct research and publish papers. And we know from our experience that sometimes when we attend a class, we have to learn about the deeper stuff, but then eventually when we apply this knowledge, it's only like maybe 20% of the class that we needed to apply it in real life. So we sat together, we put together a plan to make this course more applied, and we removed the theoretical part because we don't have time. Yeah, we know that it's important for them to learn both, but for the sake of time, we have only 1 week, so we put together only the applied part, hands-on, more hands-on, and we were with them, on top of them, we guided them, and we let them to do the work themselves, so after showing them how to do it. So for example, the idea of learning how to conduct the statistical analysis, which is the most challenging part of research, we were concerned if we weren't sure that if they can do it themselves, but when we showed them the way how to do it and we asked them to do it themselves, we learned that they can do it under, of course, mentorship. So it was challenging in the beginning, but I think by our experience we learned that they can do it, of course, under mentorship. So by the end of the workshop, they were able to conduct the statistical analysis themselves and interpret the results and put it in a paper, and in the future we will work on it to publish it as well.
That's really great to hear about it. And talking about this kind of, let's say, workshop, especially within the time itself, tell us more about the feedback, Dr. Hisham, especially that you've dealt and, of course, seen the ones who actually participated in the workshop. Like, how did you, let's say, see it eventually when it came into the end?
Actually, we received good feedback from all the doctors and the dentists. They said that they had a barely basic knowledge about how to write a paper. Most of them, they did not conduct a study before. They maybe critique an article, but did not conduct a study. And we wanted to show them the process, how to get the best articles to write your introduction, how to write the methodology based on previous articles, how to do the interpretation for the result. And we showed them that if you have a systematic way to write, to analyze, and to interpret the data, the job is easy. You just need your first steps, a mentor just to guide you, but the process itself, it's easy, and you can get it maybe not in 1 week, but maybe this is just an introduction to you to acquire some of the skills and to boost your career a little bit in research-wise.
Yes, and they always say if you look at it in an easy way, it's going to be easy. If you look at it in a difficult, hard way, it is going to be difficult. So, Dr. Lauren, you've dealt with lots of students, and we've always heard that students are always saying it is really difficult, it's really challenging. I don't have time. It's either I study and graduate, and that's it, and continue my profession, and leaving this, let's say, medical research field, let's say, for the others who are really free and not occupied, especially when it comes into working in the, let's say, medical field itself. So tell us about that. Like, do you agree on that point, or do you feel that it depends on each and everyone and their view when it comes into that?
Honestly, I feel like it's how it's been presented to them, and I agree with Hisham that you need to break it down. You need to make it simple. You need to make it not so daunting, because I think that's really what it comes down to. Is research seems very daunting. It's like, how do I design the study? How do I do the data analysis? How do I write my discussion? Yeah. So I think in breaking it down and making it simple, I think that definitely encourages more people to go into research. And I think overall, this workshop was very successful because we were there with the mentee side by side, being able to guide them. And I also think having a positive mentor is incredibly important, so it's not as frustrating. And when you go in the wrong direction, you're just steered back. You're not told you're wrong. You're just, steered in the correct direction.
Yes, and that's a very important point, is not to, let's say, highlight the negative point within the process itself, because as long as you highlight the negative, the researcher will always see that negative point, and they cannot get over it, and then all of the research will actually end up being, let's say, unsuccessful. So dealing with that, dealing with all of the process, and especially that you've worked for the first time together, like, how do you feel the feedback, especially that you work together, never, let's say, maybe, or let's say, been associated with each other in certain, let's say, time and area, but coming here into a different country, different region, and trying to work it all together? Like, how did you see that, Dr. Hisham?
Actually, I didn't see any difference between like doctors and dentists here and in the United States. In my previous experience, I saw the dentist here and the doctor very engaged, very motivated, interested in conducting a study. Most of them, they have already a job, and they took this week off just to attend this course. And yeah, as I mentioned, we got a good feedback. They are, at least we break the ice between them and doing a research. And right now they have some skills to read the articles, to write a manuscript, and also to do the analysis.
Yes, and when it comes, of course, into creating these research, like especially attending these kind of workshop, we've seen students and learners and doctors, like they could attend a workshop, they could, let's say, master it, and then within the time itself, they started to lose that kind of sense that we are actually, let's say, knowing it, understanding it. Does that mean that they, let's say, stopped practicing it? Like, does it need to be practiced all the time in order for them not to forget the skill, or it depends on their theses and the ideas that they could actually, let's say, work on?
I think research is honestly a mindset. So I think one of the biggest goals of this workshop was to get them start thinking like a researcher. So when they have these abnormal occurrences continually starting to come into their camp, they start thinking, why is this occurring? What can I do? How am I going to investigate to solve this solution? Like, what is causing this? What is the problem? How am I going to solve the solution? So I think, honestly, it is continual. And overall, it'll allow them to be better practitioners and provide better quality of care.
Yes, indeed. So, Dr. Hend, when it comes into being, let's say, the first to do such a great workshop, and as you just said, it ended up very successful, and with that great, let's say, members who actually attend, having these kind of ideas in the future, of course, is going to be there. But dealing with that, do you think that 1 week is enough for such an, let's say, workshop, or do you believe that in the future you could actually develop it into, let's say, more than 1 week? Like, I know doctors are really busy. Having a 1 week, 5 days is something really, let's say, good, and still busy on their schedule. But what do you see from your own point of view?
So we discussed that, and I think in the future we want something that is more sustainable. So even though we were able to teach some skills to the doctors and dentists during 1 week, but then we need to move further forward to complete the project. So even though we had a draft of the manuscript that we will be published, but we have to meet with the doctors again and to polish it and to remove some limitations from it. So we need more time, of course, to make things better. And also I heard another feedback from some of the doctors. So in this workshop, we used data from the United States to conduct our research because we couldn't find Kuwaiti data for the research. So one of the attendees suggested that why don't we conduct another workshop to teach us how to collect Kuwaiti data, because we need to use the research to identify problems in our country, in our society. So this could be an idea for a future research to create our own data set, so doctors and dentists can use it to identify problems in our community, so we try to solve these problems. So this is another potential idea for future workshops.
Yes, indeed. And to be honest, it was really a pleasure having you all and to actually see you and to present this great workshop, even for our viewers who are watching us today. Thank you very much, Dr. Hend, Dr. Hisham, Dr. Lauren, and also a big thanks to Dr. Khalid and Dr. Dania. It was really a pleasure having you all, and I'm very sure that everyone who attended the workshop was really happy to meet you and to get all of these great experiences. So thank you very much.